Hello and welcome. This is Notibot Yenji. Tonight, we bring you the latest updates from the Middle East and Eastern Europe, where tensions are escalating in multiple fronts. The Iran war has taken a dramatic turn, with reports emerging that Russia is reaping significant benefits from the conflict. We'll also explore the G7's efforts to balance addressing Russia and Iran, and the Pentagon's plans for a final blow. Additionally, we'll examine the growing costs for tankers navigating the Strait of Hormuz and the latest developments in the Ukraine war. Let's dive in. As tensions between the US and Iran escalate, one nation is positioning itself to capitalize on the chaos, and its ambitions are sparking concern. Russia's position on the Iran conflict takes shape. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has positioned the country to benefit from the ongoing conflict in Iran and the Middle East. The surge in oil prices due to the war and blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is expected to boost Moscow's finances. Putin told a meeting of oil and gas suppliers that the increased revenues should be used to support Russia's energy sector. This development has led some to speculate that Russia will emerge as the biggest winner from the conflict. European Council President Antonio Costa has even stated that Moscow could be the only winner, citing the Trump administration's shift in focus from Europe to the Americas. However, not all analysts share this view. While the short-term benefits are clear, some warn that Russia's domestic economic woes and ongoing war in Ukraine could limit its ability to capitalize on the U.S. shift in focus. The conflict in Ukraine has already had significant implications for Russia's economy, with the country facing international sanctions and a struggling ruble. The situation in Iran is complex, with multiple countries vying for influence in the region. China, in particular, has been actively engaging with Iran, seeking to expand its own energy interests in the region. The implications of this conflict are far-reaching, with potential impacts on global energy markets and the balance of power in the Middle East. As the situation continues to unfold, it remains to be seen how Russia will ultimately fare in this conflict. As the world grapples with escalating conflicts in Eastern Europe and the Middle East, the G7 nations are seeking a balanced approach. The G7 foreign ministers have convened in the French countryside for a two-day summit aimed at addressing the Russia-Ukraine and Iran wars. The meeting, which began on Thursday, is seen as an effort to balance the bloc's priorities on these two pressing issues. The summit is taking place amid heightened tensions between Russia and Western countries over Ukraine, as well as ongoing diplomatic efforts to resolve the Iran nuclear crisis. The meeting is being chaired by French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian, who has signaled that the G7 will aim to find a balance between addressing the Russian aggression in Ukraine and curbing Tehran's nuclear ambitions. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is expected to deliver a key speech on Friday, outlining the U.S. agenda on the two issues. Analysts say the meeting is crucial in that it will provide a platform for the G7 to discuss and potentially agree on a unified stance on the two issues. The U.S. has been particularly keen to address the Iran crisis, with the country's president, Joe Biden, calling for greater pressure on Tehran to abandon its nuclear program. The meeting comes as the international community continues to grapple with the consequences of the Ukraine crisis and the escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran. Diplomats say that the G7 meeting will be a key test of the bloc's ability to present a united front on these issues. We now turn to a developing story that's been gaining traction, as sources close to the Pentagon reveal a potentially decisive step in the escalating conflict. The Pentagon is reportedly preparing for a final blow in the ongoing Iran war, involving the use of ground forces and massive bombing, according to a report by Axios. The report cites two U.S. officials and two sources with knowledge of the matter. If talks between Tehran and Washington fail to make progress, a dramatic military escalation is expected. Options being considered include invading strategic islands such as Karg, Larak, and Abu Musa, as well as a blockade of ships carrying Iranian oil east of the Strait of Hormuz. Some U.S. officials believe that a show of overwhelming force to end the conflicts would give the U.S. greater leverage in negotiations. However, U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly not reached a decision yet on any of these scenarios, despite his preference for peace. Turkey, Pakistan, and Egypt are continuing their efforts to organize talks between the parties. Iran has rejected the U.S. initial demands, but has not completely withdrawn from the negotiations. This development comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to escalate. The potential for military action is a concern for many, with the risk of unintended consequences and long-term repercussions. The situation remains fluid, with the White House describing any potential ground operations as hypothetical. The international community is watching the situation closely, with implications for global energy markets and regional stability. The world is holding its breath as the situation unfolds, with the US and Iran locked in a high-stakes game of diplomacy and military strength. As tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate, the United States has issued a significant update on its negotiations with Iran regarding the Strait of Hormuz. The United States has extended its deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, a critical waterway in the Persian Gulf, by 10 days to April 6, 2026. The decision was announced by President Donald Trump in a social media post, where he claimed that talks with the Iranian government are going very well. Trump stated that he had initially given Iran a 10-day period to comply, but they asked for a 7-day extension. However, the extension has been met with skepticism by many, including Israeli officials, who claim that Iran is not willing to negotiate. Israel has recently launched a series of strikes against Iranian targets, including the naval commander Ali Reza Tangsiri and several senior officers in the Revolutionary Guards. The strikes were carried out by Israeli warplanes, and the U.S. has been providing support to Israel's military efforts. The tensions between the U.S. and Iran are at a boiling point, with both sides engaging in a fierce rhetoric. The situation has significant implications for global energy markets, as the Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for oil shipments between the Middle East and Europe. The ongoing conflict has also raised concerns about the potential for further escalation and the impact on regional stability. The extension of the deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz has been seen as a sign of Trump's willingness to negotiate with Iran, but it remains to be seen whether it will lead to a breakthrough or further tensions. The situation remains fluid, with both sides continuing to engage in a war of words and military actions. Following a recent escalation in tensions, Iran's aggressive tactics are now being felt by international oil tankers, with a surprising new toll to pay. Iran has been forcing oil tankers to pay millions of dollars to pass through the Strait of Hormuz by taking a new, heavily controlled route. The new system, dubbed the Tehran Toll Booth, has significantly reduced the number of ships passing through the strait, from around 110 per day to fewer than 10. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is controlling the new passage, a narrow channel between the islands of Keshem and Larak, and is verifying the ship's information before allowing passage. At least 25 vessels have taken this route since March 13th, with one being a Chinese tanker called Bright Gold, which was captured on video passing through the passage. This development indicates Iran remains firmly in control of the critical waterway despite ongoing military strikes on the country. The reduced traffic through the strait is also a result of U.S. and Israeli bombing campaigns launched on February 28th. The implications of this move are significant, as the Strait of Hormuz is a crucial shipping lane for global oil supplies. The U.S., Israel, and other countries have been targeting Iranian military facilities and infrastructure in an effort to disrupt Iran's ability to control the strait. However, the new toll booth system suggests that Iran is adapting to these efforts and finding ways to maintain its control over the waterway. This development has major implications for global oil supplies and trade, and will likely continue to be a point of contention between Iran and the international community. As tensions escalate in eastern Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky has revealed a crucial detail about the U.S.'s role in the country's security. Ukraine and Russia are locked in a bitter standoff over Ukraine's eastern region of Donbass, which the U.S. is now making a key condition for a peace deal. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the U.S. has linked security guarantees for a peace deal to Kyiv ceding all of Donbass to Russia. This is a significant concession for Ukraine, as Donbass has been a crucial battleground in the 4-year conflict sparked by Russia's 2022 invasion. Zelensky has expressed frustration with the U.S.'s conditions, saying that Donald Trump is applying pressure on Ukraine to reach a quick settlement. The Ukrainian president believes that the U.S. is being influenced by its own conflict with Iran, and is using this leverage to try and bring Ukraine to the negotiating table. However, Zelensky has warned that Ukraine will not give up any part of its territory without receiving guarantees of security from the U.S. Meanwhile, tensions have escalated on the battlefield, with a Ukrainian drone attack causing damage to an industrial area near one of Russia's largest oil refineries. More than 20 drones were shot down over the northern Leningrad region, according to Governor Alexander Drozdenko. The attack highlights the ongoing threat posed by Ukrainian drones to Russia's energy infrastructure, with at least 40% of Russia's oil export capacity currently at a halt. As the conflict rages on, the international community is watching with growing concern, and the U.S.'s position on the issue remains a major point of contention. That's all for today's news recap. We'll be back with more updates as they become available. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest news and analysis. Stay informed, stay up to date. We'll be here to bring you the facts, no matter what's happening around the world. Until next time, goodbye.